My friends, good day. The European Union has just imposed a fine of 120 million euros on X, what used to be called and tweeted as Elon Musk's network. And there is a war. There is absolutely a war of civilizations, literally a war of civilizational choices that is taking place between the United States and Europe. Americans, when they look at Europe today, are shocked by this region of the world because it is a region. Sometimes I see conversations between diplomats, businessmen, all those who come to Europe and what they see. These are outdated countries sinking into poverty, obsessed with the climate while lecturing the whole world. Do you know what Americans value? They respect the military and economic power of countries that have both. Generally, they're not really listened to. So Europe is lining up while wanting to control the whole planet, and especially the United States, and that's where it doesn't work. Just to give you an example, if you take the last 12 years that ended in 2022, roughly speaking, the American economy grew by 92%, while the European economy grew by 6%. We're not in the same league today. When Americans look at European salaries, it feels like back in the day, Europeans looking at African salaries. They think that this can't be real. We're not on the same planet. How do they live? Then they realize. Some people visit Europe and complain there's no air conditioning, treating it as a basic necessity like running water in some countries. But Europe is really sinking because it's killing itself. Through hyper-regulation, regulation, prohibition, control, administrations that are increasingly sprawling, states that are omnipresent at every level, in every mechanism, in private life. I'll just give you one example, the United Kingdom. Today, the poorest regions of the United Kingdom are actually poorer than the poorest regions of Bulgaria. Isn't that so? Just to let you know, staggering figures are coming from the United Kingdom as the country invests in installations for every village, town, and street. That's their terminology. Facial recognition cameras with artificial intelligence that interprets emotions, that will read faces and interpret people's emotions. So they bring in valves, they install them. You have hospitals that are outdated, you have schools that are outdated, everything is falling apart. Yet we spend billions to import containers of cameras and deploy them quickly. So that's a bit of the state of Europe today. It's quite frightening, at least culturally. The United States has the First Amendment, which guarantees freedom of speech, and the Second Amendment in case the first doesn't work. So for them, freedom of speech is not regulated by the state. Unlike in Europe, where people express themselves within state-approved ideas, that's not the case in the United States. When I'm in the United States and I talk to Americans, even on the street, they're much more approachable than Europeans when you talk to them on the street. These are outspoken, educated, highly politically engaged people who speak their minds, who have extremely strong opinions about their national politics, about geopolitics, all that. Whereas in Europe, we're a bit more reserved. We're afraid the neighbor might report us. So what's happening today? There's Europe, which is passing regulations like the Digital Services Act and others like chat control and all that. They're being imposed by force, they're being imposed. And then afterwards, what does Europe do? It wants the whole planet to obey these regulations. Otherwise, what does it do? Well, it imposes fines, penalties, so basically it writes the law. Do you see the business model? So it's a continent that can't create anything anymore. Who missed the turn? For example, artificial intelligence, which is behind in every objective measure. With declining living standards and wages, some places now have falling life expectancy. So what is its business model today? It's to tax everyone, to tax its citizens, as if you could just keep taxing and then grow its economy by taxing so much that we kill innovation. And on top of that, it's fining people, subjecting everyone to fines. I make a law, show it to you and say, look, I have this vague, nonsensical law. And then I tell you, well, you pay me because, look, you didn't follow the law according to me, so you pay me. So you can imagine that this is not working well. What we've had recently as casus belli from the American side is the fine against Hicks from Twitter, who was sentenced by the European Union. They must pay the European Union 120 million euros. We also have the United Kingdom, which is stopping. Who can do it better? The people. For WhatsApp posts, Facebook posts, even private WhatsApp messages, people are getting arrested for that. Just to tell you, there is a couple who criticized in a WhatsApp group the school their children attend. They were arrested in handcuffs at 6 a.m. There is a guy on Twitter in the United Kingdom. He posted a meme, just an image like that, with an expression against Hamas. Hamas, which is classified as a terrorist organization in the United Kingdom. He was arrested by the police. Two cops, around 19, handcuffed and arrested him. He asked, "Do you know who Hamas is?" They said, no, we don't know who Hamas is. We don't watch the news, but we do know that if Hamas, whoever they are, sees your meme, they'll be offended. So the police today have given up on crime. They're chasing after offense. So is there anything we're watching? They spend their time on the internet saying, oh, well, that could be offensive. Someone forwards them a text message. Someone forwards them a screenshot from WhatsApp. They say, oh, that's offensive. And they'll go arrest people just to show you the level they're at today. They've essentially created the internet, and it's growing. In the United Kingdom, for example, try accessing Imgur when you go online. I'm unsure if the pronunciation is right. It's that image hosting site. It'll tell you we don't serve British IP addresses. More and more news sites and others are saying an iron curtain is coming down. It's not the United Kingdom imposing this on its own citizens. It's the whole world that doesn't want to deal with this country anymore. So that's where we are today. So this country, Ofcom, which is a kind of media control and censorship body, it sent aggressive letters to a site called 4chan, an American site. And actually they tell them, yes, your site violates British law, etc. They feel like British law applies to the whole universe. They're a bit stuck in this imperial mindset, where at one time the sun never set on the British Empire. Today, the sun never rises again over the United Kingdom, right? It's been reduced to almost nothing. It's a cold, rainy country where people can't afford to heat their homes, but they're adding climate change taxes that will make heating impossible, just to show you where we are in this country. You really have to see it. You have to see it to believe it, what's going on. There is a reaction from the United States, and that reaction takes several forms. First, it was official. It was even announced by Reuters and other media outlets. The Trump administration sent instructions to all embassies around the world, telling them to look at the profiles of people applying for visas. It could be a work visa, an immigration visa, or another type. Check if they have served in any of their services. He's against disinformation, fact checkers, so-called moderation services. He said check their resumes, LinkedIn, and even their spouses who accompany them. If you detect any involvement in those services, you must deny the visa. So the people who practice censorship, fact-checking, and so on, are now ineligible to immigrate to the United States. That's a big step. Secondly, what's happening is that there are states like Wyoming that are developing laws, proposed laws that could even become federal. For example, we have the Granite Act. What does it say? It says that any foreign institution, foreign person, or administration that threatens an American citizen or an American business with a fine in order to silence speech, in order to censor, no matter what reason is given. It could be that they say it's disinformation, or they say it's unacceptable, or it's hate, or it could cause offense. Just like with the United Kingdom. Well, the consequence is this. The American entity has the right to sue the threatening foreign party in American courts to claim damages of three times the fine by which it is threatened, all right? So if the entity threatens you with $1 million, well, you have the right to go to court and ask. Actually, not even 3 million, the minimum is 10 million. That means when you file a complaint, it will be 3 times the amount you were threatened with, but with the minimum of 10 million, okay? To create precisely, to tip the balance. And that, be careful, not per case, but per communication. That means if someone sends you a letter and then another, then an email, then a lawyer calls you, etc. You file a complaint for each communication you see. So it can add up very quickly if they harassed you, if they wrote to you, for example, 10 letters. Well, 10 times 10, that's 100 million. So it can go extremely fast. The case, and there you have it. So it's literally, we're witnessing a war of civilization. Recently, Europe warned that if the United States doesn't act on issues like Ukraine, they threaten to ruin the United States. So Europe now wants to ruin us, just to note. They want to ruin Russia, they want to ruin China, they want to ruin the United States, they want to ruin the entire planet. The current warmongering, let me say, as Africans, our grandparents didn't oust European regimes for nothing, all right? There is a reason why they did it. I understand it very well. Today we have practical work. It means that today their barely concealed belligerence is becoming visible and it's starting to irritate the whole world. So now it's going to end badly for Europe because Europe doesn't have, with indebted countries, ruined countries, deindustrialized and demoralized. I don't see Europe setting out to conquer the whole world like in the past, and then building an empire on European values on which the sun never sets. If anyone has this vision, I have bad news. That's what I wanted to say. That's it, my friends. Thank you for watching this video. Up to this point, we will follow this development. It's high time the European elites took a real hit. It's about time, just a little, that there are some checks and balances, because otherwise they have no limits at all. Let me remind you that my book, the second volume of the book about Apollo, We Didn't Walk on the Moon, is out. It's available on Amazon, and I'll see you in an upcoming video. See you very soon.